Black women are good women. Tammy Wynette wrote a song that said, stand by your man. But the black woman has done more than stand by her man. She's had to carry that man, bear that man, put up with that man. Am I right? And yet today she is among the most unmarried women in America. And it's certainly not because she's not qualified. Certainly not because she's not beautiful. It's certainly not because she's not health to him. Because she is. He who findeth a wife findeth a good thing. I'm headed somewhere. Bible, it has been medically proven that a married man with a diseased heart live on average of 5 years longer than a single man with a healthy heart. So I suggest you brothers get married. The Bible says, he who findeth a wife findeth a good thing and obtain favor from the Lord. People think that favor is something supernatural. No, she's the favor. Good home cooking. Good, clean, loving. Oh, Lord. Waiting for you when you get home. Am I right about it? A good housekeeper. Y'all can say what you will of me. A cold, empty bed is overrated. Amen. Amen. When we were traveling, Pam not with us, me and Rocky and the gang, when the service is over, we talk. We just talk after going to the hotel. We just talk and talk and talk. We just burn up all the energy so when everybody goes back to their room, we ain't got nothing left, just fall out. Because, you know, you go, Pam ain't there. I mean, it's just the room, the silence is deafening. It's just, oh, it's too loud. I got to go home. I'm headed somewhere. See, I mean, I'm not like some of these brothers. I don't understand a brother 40 and 50 and don't need a wife. I needed one, mothers. I hope y'all pray for me. I needed one at 19.
Welcome back to the channel. And I actually thought he was going to go someplace slightly different in this video, you know, because sometimes people have titles that don't quite go along with what the video is. And hey, you know, who does that too? I actually do that sometimes myself. So I really can't get too upset. But anyway, welcome. You see the information on the screen, so we're going to get to it. So the original title to this is, why are black women the most unmarried women in America? Again, I'll say that. Why are black women, you know, generational black women, African-American women, the most unmarried women in America? And when we actually look at our information, we know about 70% of black women, okay, are single, and they will become single moms, blah, 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 you know, to, you know, create a new generation of women that are single like them. So that's the core. Let's start right there, and then we'll get into it. So one of the things that I did like that he talked about at the very beginning, and this is one of the things that I'm always telling a lot of the generational black women that follow me, is that he said, you know, black women are attractive. And I know he's old school, you know, he's probably definitely a baby boomer, but when you start to talk about beauty, and this is one of the things that I'm, like I say, I'm always telling black women, black men still find black women attractive. No matter what you believe, no matter what you see in statistics, most black men will admit that they still are more attracted to black women than they are to white women, Latino women, Asian women, blah, blah, blah. In fact, it's closer to about 80% that literally, if they are going to marry, they're going to marry a woman that is black, or she is going to be of African descent. In fact, one of the main reasons why you have the passport bros, and see, a lot of women don't understand, I think, how to see the positive and what they consider a negative. So what is the positive of the passport bros? You don't really see a lot of passport bros heading to China. You don't see a lot of passport bros heading to Sweden. You don't see a lot of them heading to the UK. What they're saying is, I'm heading to Africa. I'm heading to Brazil. I'm heading to Colombia. And even if they go into the Asian area, over there in South Asia, they're generally going to South Asia. They're going to like the Philippines, where Asian women actually have brown skin and they don't actually have light skin. So we see that a lot of generational Black men are very attracted to Black women. So the issue here is not whether or not they're Black. That's the problem. And if a lot of women actually have their ears open and can get out of their emotions a little bit. And I understand, ladies, it's hard because so many people are beating you guys up. And even now there'll be a guy that's saying, man, you pandering to these women, you pandering to these women. No. I showed you what's on the screen. I'm always about what's on the screen. How in the world can I get a man married if the woman that he's marrying to is not healthy, or vice versa? So I'm all about marriage. I'm not here to demonize anybody. And that's why I'm trying to get the women to see the beauty really of what's going on. What the men are saying is they're not saying that they're not attracted to Black women. They're not saying that they don't want to be with Black women. So the culture over the last 20 years has gotten out of control. And when we really take a hard look at that, we can see why. We have a situation now where even the concept of being a baby's mama, of being a single mom, is now glorified. All right, is no longer really put down. And look, I don't want every single, Black woman to walk around with a scarlet letter, on her chest to say, oops, I made a mistake, or ooh, I didn't pick the right guy, and blah, blah, blah. I don't want you guys to go around with that heavy of a cross on your back. But what I do want a lot of you to really understand is that there are really great guys out here. And you kind of have to line yourself up with what they want. See, again, he's a baby boomer. And again, I don't think everybody kind of gets everything that he talked about. He's talking about a traditional woman. A traditional woman. He's talking about her cooking, cleaning, being at home, when he gets home. That's kind of what he's talking about. And one of the things that I'm always saying is that every single person, when they use this encompassing, all Black people do this, and Black women do this, and Black men do this, they're trying to grab every Black person. But we're not like that. We're not a monolith. We are literally a gradient. We are a spectrum of people. We have people that are more over here. We have people that are more over here. We have people that have different cultures within our culture. And one of the issues here is that more than likely, if I analyzed him, I analyzed the people that are around him, I analyzed their socioeconomic level, most of them would probably be lower middle class to higher. Okay, they probably would, that's their bottom, and then they're going to go up. A few of them might be working class, but that's probably it. So a lot of these people that are doing all this preaching, they don't really understand that a lot of their people really don't line up and don't quite understand. And it's always interesting because people will talk around the subject instead of talking directly to the subject. And that's why a lot of times in a lot of my videos, I try to talk about solutions. And the number one solution is for you to educate yourself on what it is to be a great wife or to be a great husband. I can't stress that enough. And I told you guys in the description, there are books and TV shows. So if you don't have the money for books, that's fine. But there's TV shows that you can watch where you can actually see people trying. And I know a lot of people have been getting on me about writing some books, okay, to summarize a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about. And I am working on that. So hopefully in the next 2 or 3 months, I'll have something for you all to see and to read. And that'll be also a really great way for you all to support me if you choose to do so. But in the meantime, we still have to come up with solutions and strategies in order to help us from this situation. Now, to get back to it, why are Black women the most unmarried? Well, it's really simple. It's all about the generational curse of being, of children outside of wedlock. I'm just being real. It is a generational curse because what happens is the children are born All children know that there should be a mommy and a daddy. They know it. God has put that in their system. So once they start talking, they're going to start looking around to say, okay, where is daddy? And when daddy's not there, now the single mom is trying to do her very best to try to raise this child up in the best way that she knows how. But unfortunately, generally because she's carrying a lot of pain, her daughter becomes kind of like a friend. And now she's dropping all of this pain on her daughter, which her daughter basically internalizes, and it helps her daughter to make decisions in the future, which generally are going to be bad decisions about men. Meanwhile, the son is going through the same thing. His mom might be saying things, she might be doing things. He's never seen a woman and a man interact in any kind of longevity. So even when the men come over and talk to mom, because most moms, they're not going to go 20 years, okay, without getting them some. They just not. She might try to sneak around. She might try to get around these things so her children don't see. But more than likely, they're going to figure something out sooner or later. And because they're watching mom in this behavior, even as a son, the son doesn't see or understand why he should hang around with a woman. Because in his mind, this is just what you do. This is what the men that he's seen have done. And so that's what he thinks he's supposed to do too. And even though the mom might be telling him different, as soon as he can see over his mom's head, she has no power over him. So now he is going to go into the world doing the very best he has with limited knowledge about how to be a man. Now, when this man tries to go to most middle class people or people that have been raised by both parents or women that are healthy, those women are not going to talk to him. Some of them may, if they've been watching a lot of media that has kind of changed their perspective, but a lot of those women are not. So what is he going to do? He's going to go to the women that have the same background as him, and they're going to create more babies. And what happens is, like I said, that middle class, that upper middle class, whatever you want to call it, working class, the people that have come from that two-parent household situation, they start to erode year after year after year. So right now we're at approximately 70%. If we don't change things, we could see 80% in 15 years. Why? Because you always have that one person, out of 10 or so, that's like, well, I'm going to take a chance on this dude. I'm going to take a chance on this woman. And then they put themselves in a situation where it erodes. And this is why, and I'm constantly saying this, why a lot of Africans and a lot of black people don't like it when I say this. Generational black people in America don't like it when I say this. But there's videos out here that testify to this. A lot of Africans will not date generational black Americans. And it's not because they're saying that all of us are bad. But when they see 70% of marriage being failure, because that's how they see it. They see it as a failure. They don't trust their children, with us and their grandchildren to be under that scheme. So many of them try to encourage their children not to do that. Now, some of them do it anyway, generally for, various reasons. And I've always said it, in the past that because most places are, a patriarchy, people generally don't care as much about their daughters dating outside of the culture as much as they care about their sons. So it's much more difficult for, like I say, a Nigerian guy to date an American woman than it is for me to date a Nigerian woman. All right? Because the patriarchy of their culture cares more about the sons and the lineage of the son than it does about the lineage of the daughter, if this makes sense. And I know that might hurt some women's feelings, but I'm really trying to, like I say, take it home, and get this home. So again, I don't really think, honestly, that he gave a lot of reasons. Most of it, like I said, goes back to slavery. And then it also goes back to how men were encouraged to leave the home, or women basically were encouraged to push the man out of the home. A lot of that was encouraged. And a lot of us know that that was encouraged. And then you also have situations, I'm just being honest, where a lot of men don't really know how to treat women. They don't really know what their role is. They don't really know how to interact. And so a lot of women get frustrated. And they will divorce them, or they will get rid of them, or they will kick them out of the house. All right? And then you also have a lot of women walking in their masculinity And so those women, they're just kind of the revolving door with the guys, because they're just like, well, there's no sense in me really dealing with you and putting up with your stress. I thought you was going to come up to this level, but because you didn't, now I'm moving on. And there's really also a litany of reasons. I mean, like I said, we could go on and on and on. But how is that going to solve anything? And how do we deal with the current situation right now? The main thing that we want to do is we want to identify, like I say, through education. And this is something each and every last person has to do. I can't really stress it, any more or any less. But I think what Black women have to do is that they as a culture, and I've said this a long time ago, I was talking about this, but I think a lot of Black women as a culture have to start checking each other. They have to kind of get in this mindset where they're like ladies together. As a group, we are going to say, this is the path. And the path cannot be without men. It cannot be, well, we're not going to deal with these men and blah, 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 blah. No, it has to be something that's going to be healthy and is going to try to help women towards the future. But unfortunately, we have a lot of people out here with hustle mindset. So now we got sprinkle, sprinkle, and we got drizzle, drizzle, and we got all these things where really it all boils down to somebody trying to get over. And I've talked about this before. There is no soft life. There's none. I mean, honestly, it's easier for a man to be on soft life than it is for a woman to be on soft life. And the reason why is because if a woman is walking in her masculine and, she wants to be with this dude that's lazy and all he does is sit around and watch TV and just have sex with her, then he has a soft life. Okay, because even if she has children, I'm just going to be real, at 1 a.m, if she's breastfeeding, the baby ain't calling out for him, it's calling out for her. So while he can still, feed the baby and stuff like that, it's like a lot of guys will try to, like I say, weasel their way around certain things so that they can get out of it. All right. So again, I'm not encouraging that. I don't believe in that. And I don't believe in soft life. All right. So soft life, like I said, is basically you being taken care of. A soft life woman, like I said, she doesn't even take care of her own kids. She has a nanny, she has a cook, she has drivers, she just kind of sits around and she's pretty. And then her husband just loves her. He makes all this money and then he takes care of her. But most men, even at that multi-million-dollar level, really aren't looking for women to live that life. And again, once we start to look at the top 1%, okay, which you would have to be in to live that life, you're talking a heck of a lot of money and a heck of a lot of competition. So it's very difficult for women or men, in the drizzle world, it's very difficult for them to live that soft life. However, like I've said before, it is possible for a lot of Black women to become housewives. But if you're a housewife, it's work. I'll be honest with you, the two people that I know that are housewives, they work more, okay, than their female counterparts. Why? Because they're cooking, they're cleaning, they're doing literally 95% of the housework. They're generally taking care of the kids. They're generally doing the homework and things with the kids. So their day is like a 12-hour day. They're not sharing in the load. Now, the man might come and he might do outside the house, which will probably take him a couple of hours on a Friday or Saturday to do, and that's only through spring, summer, and early fall. But she is taking care of everything else. So again, that's very difficult to do. So again, how do women get around this? It's really, ladies, about picking well, and then also coming in with the education and the humbleness, not the arrogance because of emotional anger. And women, I think Black women really have to let that go. All right. And a lot of Black men have to let that go, too, because a lot of Black men have an arrogance about them now because they're thinking, oh, I'm better because, I'm up here and I'm making a little bit of money and, I don't have no kids and blah, blah, blah. And these women ain't about nothing. And I'm going to get my, pick and I'm talking bad about them and stuff like that. See, that mindset, it really, even from a guy's perspective, it really doesn't put you down a really good path, because that energy is going to be picked up by women. Women are going to understand that energy. They're going to understand whether or not you like them as a woman, as a black woman, as somebody that can be beneficial to your life, or if you have this negative energy. And I honestly think that's why so many women are ending up with narcissists and all these other men that are doing this, that, and the third, because it's so much negative energy that's out here that is actually hurting the healthy people to even find good people. But anyway, that's an aside. Let's get again back to the point. So what women have to do to get out of this is, like I said, you have to pick well. And there are a lot of really great black men out here that do want to marry black women. And you have to put yourself kind of in front of them or be close to them in order to win. Now let's check out another video. I actually thought about doing a whole video on it, but I think I'm just going to add it to this one. So this video might be a little bit long, but I think it kind of goes with this.
The dude has to pursue. It's the first stage of leadership. Any woman that's ever pursued me, I ran from. If there's one thing I'm afraid of aggressive women. When a woman steps out of her feminine and steps into that masculine role, I'm gonna get what I want. Oh no. No. If a man is not enough leader to make the call, walk across the room, or say, hey, hello, how are you, respectfully, why are you out here shooting your shot? You're desperate. And see, now you have a culture where women are listening to men, and men are saying to them, yeah, you shoot your shot, because now we're gonna manipulate you and run through you. Use up all of your youth in the middle of a bed because we separated you from your virtue.
So one of the things about that particular video, and like I said, I could go really in depth with it, but I think it kind of leans into a lot of the other stuff that I've been talking about recently. And I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan with a lot of the things that R.C. Blakes has actually talked about. And the reason why is not so much I'm against him, is I'm more, again, I think he's kind of talking to a very narrow group of black women. And because he's talking to that group, I think it sways him a little bit more in the fact that he's mainly trying to talk to that middle-class black woman, which again lines up with more of the Steve Harvey, type of energy. And I'll be honest, more than likely, that's probably who's watching me as well. But the difference in my perspective on it is that a lot of those middle-class black women, they're going to kind of do that anyway, because they more than likely, if they they probably had a father, and if their father wasn't in the home, they probably still had a very strong relationship with their father or with their uncle, blah, blah, blah. So those women are kind of looking at things slightly differently. But the biggest problem I have with this is to truly understand men. And I think, again, when you have these dynamic men, like an R.C. Blakes, then you're dealing with a man who is always been in power. And he loves that power. And he walks in that power. And he even talks about right there, if a man is not man enough to walk across the room and say hello, then you don't need him. But like I've told you, there's 3 types of men out here. And it's really the instinct-based man that really is going to walk in the energy that he's talking about. And that's, again, goes back to that 20%. And we all know that 20%. Why? Because 80% of women do what? Chase that 20%. And see, this is one of the reasons why. And so for me, when I'm talking about black women, I want to put black women in the best opportunity to succeed. And so while I do not believe that a woman should walk in her masculine energy, and I agree with him on that. And I even agree with, if a woman is too assertive to me, I honestly will, kind of shy away from her myself. And I agree with that side of it. But the difference in what I'm saying and what he's saying is, I believe that a woman can position herself. And to position yourself, all you need to do is get close to the man. And see, then you allow him to actually believe that he's in control. Again, let's talk about the dropping of the handkerchief. This is something that people know. They've seen it in old movies, blah, blah, blah. This was something that women did for centuries. And there's a lot of different ways to do it. Okay, you don't literally have to drop the handkerchief. If you're in a grocery store, you can say, hey, can you get that off the top shelf for me is just so high up there. It's hard for me to reach. There's so many different ways that women can position themselves. And then once you position yourself, and a lot of women, y'all know y'all do that 3-second wait, like, to see if he's going to say something. And if he don't say nothing, then you move on. But you've done every single thing that you could do. But again, and this is another place where I agree, is that he still needs to be respectful. He still needs to walk in goodness, kindness, things like that, and not, talking down on you and disrespecting you. So these are just a few things that I just want to drop today. So hopefully, like I said, we can change this tide, because whatever happens to black women eventually happens to black men. And I think we need to also talk about that as well. Like, a lot of black men might not necessarily be concerned about the next generation of black men, but there are black men that are being raised in under these single moms and different things like that. So if we're actually going to say that we care about other people, we have to try to come up with solutions. But again, I'm not necessarily saying that black men need to step up and take care of another man's child. I'm not saying all that. All I'm saying is we need to understand some things. We need to change our perspectives and get ourselves aligned so that we can do better in the future. Anyway, please like, please subscribe. Remember, I have a lot of information in the description that can help you. That's what I'm about. I'm about marriage, and I'm going to see you all in the very next video.